Well, the IRS releasing its plan to spend an allocated $80 billion with critical details missing. The agency claims that the funding provided in the Inflation Reduction Act will go toward hiring 30,000 new employees by the end of fiscal year 2025. And it will audit families and small businesses that make over $400,000 a year in income. Joining me now is Utah Congressman, member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure and Education and Workforce Committees, Burgess Owens, is with us this morning. Congressman, great to see you. Thanks very much, and a happy Easter to you and your family.
Same to you, Maria. Happy Easter, for sure.
So you got to clear this up for us. We've been talking about this $80 billion in money in the Inflation Reduction Act all morning. The IRS is moving forward. They're going to hire 30,000 new employees. We're guessing that so that they could ramp up the audits on everybody. I thought the Republicans were trying to stop that money. What can you do to change these plans, if anything?
Well, it passed through the House that we will stop this process, but unfortunately, it could not be picked up in the Senate. So we're going to look at the appropriation process and see if we can slow it down a little bit. I think that the most important thing is that the transparency we're putting out, we're letting people recognize that we are on this. We understand what they're trying to get done. By the way, just so those that out there aware of this, back in 2019, at that time, those folks making over $10 million were audited 21%. It went dropped from 21% down to 3% in 2019. This is before COVID. So we should not trust the fact you put more power into bureaucrats, particularly IRS, that it's going to be a fair process. They're coming after the middle class, and they're coming at those who cannot afford to lawyer up or put their accountants in place. So get ready, but at the same time, we're going to work toward the appropriation process to slow them down as much as we can until we get the Senate, and then we can truly start clawing back some of this funding.
Yeah, and the appropriation process is probably your one, only important lever here, right? Because the House committees are overseeing, like the Judiciary Committee overseeing DOJ and FBI. Can you stop funding through that Appropriations Committee to stop funding some of these policies that have gone against the American people?
Absolutely. And I want to say this, Maria. I mean, obviously things look very, very tough right now, bleak in a sense, but the American people made a remarkable, miraculous decision to allow the Republican House to be in control, to have oversight. And these are the ways we do it. It's about the funding. It's about the dollars we can decide to control and to spend or not spend. So it's a very narrow process right now in which we can control it, but we have oversight. We have transparency for the first time in years, and so it's gonna be a positive process at the end of the day. Just have to hang in there until we get the Senate to partner up with us and really pull back a lot of the control and power that the Biden administration has right now.
Congressman, I want to get your take on what is being called two tiers of justice. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan has sent a subpoena to former New York prosecutor Mark Pomerantz on his role in the former president's indictment, Trump's indictment. Jordan writes this: "Your public resignation reportedly left DA Bragg deeply stung and caused him to issue an unusual public statement, emphasizing that the investigation into Trump and his business was far from over." The Federal Election Commission also showing Judge Juan Merchan, who is presiding over the Trump case, donated $15 to the Biden campaign in July 2020. It's obviously not a lot of money, but he did donate, and we understand his daughter worked for Kamala Harris's campaign. What's your take on the potential for, a conflict of interest here?
Well, what's happening has been going on for quite a few years. We're finding out our system's broken. There is a two-tier system, and I'll tell you about the American people. We just want fairness. We don't want to feel that we're being bullied. And what we're seeing right now that's happening to our former president is now what can happen to any of us. And this is the way companies that are run by Marxists, by communists, this is the way they operate. They operate on fear. They operate on unfairness. There's no sense of shame. And that's what we're seeing from not only the judicial, the government process, we're seeing it in education, all across the board. Everything they control, there's a sense of unfairness. And we push back on that. We're the type of people that we're okay living in this freedom bubble until we find out we're under attack. And at this point, it's no question. Our system, our way of governing, our culture is under attack. And we're going to stand up against this as a nation. I feel very confident about that.
Well, speaking of unfair, I want to point out that the media helps here. Vogue magazine did a whole spread on Stormy Daniels. Miranda Devine from the New York Post tweeted it out. She says, so Stormy Daniels gets a Vogue spread, but not former model and elegant clothes horse Melania Trump. All those years, Melania Trump was the first lady. She never got in Vogue. And here you've got Stormy Daniels in Vogue right now. I mean, the media plays a role here in terms of this unfairness, does it not?
It does, and I think what we're seeing, this is something we have to understand across the board. We're dealing with an ideology that hates our country, hates our culture, hates God, family, the free market education, and we're seeing it in full-fledged right now. And the thing we're also recognizing is they're like little termites, and they're everywhere. We have just taken for granted that our society will continue to go the way we were raised in fairness and respect. And those days are gone right now. But the upside is this, that we were not going to stand down as we watch this and just let it go on. We're going to do the very best we can do. Right now we have more activity, more engagement from we the people, and I'm excited about that. So let's not be surprised about the craziness. I mean, we're now having a discussion that 20, 30 years ago we never thought we would have had, and it is, what is a man, what is a woman? The fact that we have grown men thinking they can beat up a girl and think there's no shame with that, compete, take away their honor. So we're at a very reflective point right now. I think that because of where we are, folks are waking up and say, wait a minute, we're just going way too far. This is getting crazy. And we're going to start pushing back, particularly when it comes down to protecting our kids, which I think is a bridge too far from the left. They've kind of pushed that last lever that American people will not stand for, and it is attacking our kids, abusing our kids. We're just not going to let that happen.
Yeah, I mean, that was the big story, of course, after we learned that they were calling parents and mama bears domestic terrorists. 2 Tennessee lawmakers have been expelled after they stormed the Capitol demanding gun control in the wake of the Nashville school shooting, Congressman. I know you have introduced new legislation. You've introduced the Secure Our Students Act. Tell us about that and about keeping our schools safe.
Thank you, Maria, for that opportunity. This was dropped last year. It did not go to the Democratic Control Committee. It's very simple. We need to not use our kids as gambling chips. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. We can talk about gun control all you want to, but let's make sure our kids are off the plate with this deal. So this Secure Our Children Act was very simply this. There is, of the $1.2 trillion of the American Rescue Plan, $122 billion was sent to the education to make sure the systems were safe. Well, of that, 77% has not been spent, and it will not be spent. What this bill says is we'll take that funding, it's already allocated to the districts, allow them to look at any way they want to protect our kids that they need to, as long as it's evidence-based. And that could be hard infrastructure, it could be software, law enforcement, whatever it might be that particular school district needs. And that could be done within weeks, because part of this bill also says that the states cannot slow walk this process. It's already there. But of course, they're going to vote against it because they want to use our kids, our misery of parents, and this threat so they can take away our guns. This is the evil ideology of Marxism. We have to understand what we're after, what's after us at this point for sure.
That is very disturbing, Congressman. We're going to be watching your work on this issue. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you, Maria. Have a good one. Happy Easter.
All right. And to you, sir.